Welcome to The Real and the Woo. I'm your host, Lauri Stern, and I am so excited to have Mara Smith with me because I'm a huge fan of tequila. And I was given a bottle of your tequila by a friend of mine, and it's delicious. The bottle is beautiful. The top is glass. When you put it in the freezer, it comes out it's like frosty goodness. And when she gave me the bottle, she said, "This is a local woman and it's a woman-owned business." And she saw you at the liquor store, the Binny's over by us, and she was so excited to give it to me. And I have to say, it is amazing. So, welcome to the show, and thanks for making delicious tequila.
Thank you. What a great intro.
Well,
Thank
thank you.
you.
So I'd love you to tell my listeners because I want to know, like I was looking at your website, I do a little research, but I always just like to hear straight from uh, the owner's mouth how you got into this business and why.
Oh, such a great question. How in the world did I end up in tequila?
Well,
I
I
don't
saw
think
your
anyone.
story. Like, I've got a set of girlfriends. We go to happy hour after we play pickle, and a number of us drink
Love it.
tequila. Some of us drink vodka with blue cheese olives. But I noticed on your website you were inspired, like I was. This show was inspired by my friends. And so, like any good crew of friends, there are therapists, there are rocks, and there are inspirations. So I read that in part of your story. Go ahead.
Thanks. I love that. And what better way to get therapy than while you're drinking tequila? So, you know, really like it goes back, I was an attorney like a million years ago at a large law firm in Chicago. Then I worked in corporate strategy. And then my most recent job before this was as a stay-at-home mom for over 16 years. So three kids, staying home. I am a super consumer. We just start with like I knew I wanted to start a company. I knew it was gonna be in food or beverage. Like I'm a super consumer. I love everything in the better for you category. I have like five brands just this week that I'm trying from like gut gut powders to like clean crackers and like I just love the category. Um so when I was thinking about ideas, I kept coming back to tequila. Just like you have a number of friends who drink tequila, I've been a tequila drinker for years, and I thought I was drinking something that as far as like an adult beverage, was better for you.
Mhm.
And then I discovered that everything I was drinking contained undisclosed additives. I did not know that they put like sweeteners and aspartame and things like that. And don't put on the label, and that it could be in your tequila. Until like all the big brands, generally many of the celebrity brands.
Mhm.
And so when I found that, I was like, oh, like I thought this was a cleaner option. I only drink either tequila on the rocks or tequila and soda. I don't mix it in like sugary cocktails. So I wanted something super approachable, but that a cleaner version of the things I've been drinking.
Mhm.
And I also noticed that so many women were telling me they're tequila drinkers. I just kept thinking, well, like if all these women drink tequila, why do brands not focus on this consumer? And I don't think they do a great job of marketing to this consumer in a really authentic way. Um, so I said, okay, how can we create something that's like clean, additive free, easy to drink, and also very focused on this like thoughtful female consumer? Like we're not going to dumb it down. It's going to be like fruity flavored or in hopping bottles. Is our bottles really pretty and appeals to many women, but it's not like, an overly like girly bottle. It's just a
No,
really
it just, you
pretty
know what? It
sleek
feels,
bottle.
it's very intuitively designed, if I could just interrupt for a moment,
Yeah.
because I personally really like how things feel. And your bottle, first of all, the shape of it, like when you hold it in your hand, it fits right in. It's easy to lift, it's easy to pour. And I also love, when you get a paperback book, there's like the glossy covers or like the
Yeah.
velvety covers. I like the velvety covers, and your bottle feels like a velvety cover.
Oh my gosh, thank you. And I'm so glad you noticed the design because it was very purposeful. I wanted a bottle that was easy to hold and pour. I wanted slender in the middle because I thought like these huge bottles are really hard to manipulate with one
Hmm.
hand. I wanted everything, even though like as an unusual shape, there are no like kind of like hard corners. I wanted
No,
all the edges to be smooth because that's how I also like the feel of
right.
things.
Kind of
It
shaped
was very
like a
intentional.
woman when you think about it. It's
Yes.
got like a little bit of a cinched waist, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She's
she's so
tall
pretty.
and yeah.
She's
Thank
gorgeous.
you.
Yeah. Okay. And so I also I know we connect. I've got twins also, but mine are identical. And I didn't know that you had twins until I was reading what you have on your website. So I just wanted to say, moms
How
of
old are
twins.
your twins?
So my eldest daughter is 31. I have a son, 27, and the twins are 24.
Okay.
Yeah.
My
How
twins are my
about,
oldest and they're 22.
okay. Yeah. So, and if your youngest is also in school now or,
13.
okay. So you're right in the thick of what I do in my business is I help women understand themselves from the inside out, women in business especially, and men too. But when you led with what you used to do before your tequila, you said you were a stay-at-home mom. And you and I both know that is a CEO job that no one else can handle except moms. And I've said this story in my podcast before. I'd go to these fancy parties and it would come around to, oh, what do you do for a living? And when I would say I'm a stay-at-home mom, you get those looks like, oh, she's not worth anything, those dismissive assholes, right? And so I started answering, I'm a CEO of a major family business. And they're like, oh, well, what do you do? And I
Oh my
said,
gosh,
well,
I
I'm in
love that
charge.
answer.
I said, I'm in charge of scheduling, transportation, nutrition, and healthcare. And they're like, my God, that's so much. What is that? I'm like, I'm a mom. In my head, I'm like, you fucker,
By the
But
way, that list was really short. You could have added like seven more things to the
oh,
list. It's not even just transportation,
100%. It's like we
mental
apologize or we
well-being.
yeah. So I help women understand, first of all, own your light, rock what you've got. We, more than anybody, I feel moms can leverage our experience in ways that are really transformative for the businesses we're running. And your business is newer and you're hitting it at a time when we're being asked to lead from heart versus head. So I don't know how woo woo you get, but this is the real and the woo. And the astrology we're in right now, we are all asked to come from the divine feminine more than the masculine, but marry the two. And when you're running a business, when you're starting a business like you are, you have to swim with the big fish and be like a man. And we're all like, no, be like a woman because we're badass, right? So, did you encounter what kind of pushback and challenges did you encounter in any category that you'd like to share growing this
Yes.
business?
Well, one, I think it's a great perspective of showing women how important that work is. So like, and I love your answer to what you do. And I'm going to, like, in full transparency, when I started a business, I'm like, how is anyone, like, how am I going to have any credibility? Like, I've been a stay-at-home mom for all this time. Like, what's this mom of three who now has like a tequila brand? Like, um, and so I often glossed over the huge part of my life that was the CEO of my home. And I'd say,
Mm-hmm.
oh, well, my past, I have an accounting degree and I practiced law and I was in corporate strategy. And I'd like gloss over this whole like huge chunk of my life. And so it took me a lot of time and reflection to actually appreciate that I honed a lot of skills as a stay-at-home mom. And you and
Mm-hmm.
I both know right now we're in a sandwich generation where we have people who are taking care of young kids still and then also taking care of like their elderly parents. And there's a lot of work that goes into that. And you become adept at a lot of things that are very applicable to running a business. So I always
Yep.
tease, just like you, I had twins, I had preemie twins. Like
Me too.
I can multitask like the best of them, like, right. And here I wear a lot of hats every single day, going from I was at a sales pitch before this, then I'm on a marketing call, then, wearing a lot of different hats, a lot of multitasking. Um, I learned incredible efficiency, three kids, schedules, and most importantly, a flexibility that I did not have to have before having children, right?
Mm-hmm.
I could like focus, here's my plan, here's what I'm getting done in my day, here's my schedule. Well, no day ever goes according to plan once you
No.
have children. And that's the same in a startup. You're constantly problem solving. What's plan B? What's plan C? So
Yep.
I think that was the first, like, honestly, major hurdle was my own mindset because I kind of bought into what I also think society buys into that, like, oh, well, you had this whole break. Kind of like,
Mm.
actually, no, not a break. No, not a break. I just had really difficult bosses with very little praise and no raises. Like that was like, it was not a break.
Yep.
um, so I think really recognizing those skills and how that, I think directly correlates with being a good leader of an organization. And another piece like that's really significant is having the empathy, because I know so many people have so much going on in their lives because I have life experience. I didn't like start this from my dorm room or like getting my MBA. I'm a more seasoned entrepreneur. I had a lot of life experiences. So I think that helps me go in thinking about things, not taking things super personally. If someone doesn't respond to an email right away, or maybe I go in and they were curt with me, or that I always think like, I don't know what's going on in their life. Like maybe someone's sick, maybe they had a stressful, maybe, who knows? There could be so many things going on in their lives. And I think the fact that I can approach things like that with a different
Mm-hmm.
level of empathy, as opposed to taking everything like, oh my gosh, like getting offended, also gives me maybe like a little bit of a different perspective that's useful.
And that's really what I'm talking about, right? So we understand, like you said, how to wear a lot of different hats and how to get along with a lot of different personalities, not only within our own home, but when your kids go to school. I was just writing a blog about this. I haven't produced it yet, but the challenge of how to deal with changing friend groups, not just with your kids, but then with us as well. And how to navigate those waters, the bestie who's no longer a bestie, whether it's for your children or yourself, and how to have those conversations and then not lose yourself in the process. That's such a huge skill set, that sense of self-worth and self-value when you're out and about in the world. And for the work that I do, my tagline is "You matter," among other things. And I say, when you understand how your wheels turn, you can drive the vehicle of your body anywhere, because my lens is the chakras. And so everything that you just said, I'm hearing it through that lens of, oh, I wonder if she does yoga. Oh, I wonder like what her spiritual practice is like, because you're bringing up so many energetic aspects that we already have within us, and the world makes us quiet them down, or we feel we need to dim them down just to get along in the world. And so I love that you lead with empathy and compassion and bring that to the negotiating table. That's huge. So
Thank
good
you.
for you.
And I think I look at a very practical approach, even when you said like the friend things, like I think I'm just very much of like, okay, what makes sense? What's practical? And I think a number of things, like when I always tell my kids, like, if you have to try too hard, it's not the right group for you.
Mhm.
So, and that's probably also because I am just I'm not a drama person. I don't do a drama. I like, am just, things have to be like easy. As far as that goes, life's hard enough. There's like plenty of things that are hard. I don't have to add that, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
those should be easy. And I also think you learn later that nobody's gonna be like everything. And so I think I also look at that as like when you talk about changing friends, or as you're older, like there are different friends for different purposes. There are like the friends that are like
Mhm.
really fun to go out with. There are the friends who I
Yeah.
love. They get a great taste in their shopping friends. They're the friends who are going to be your sounding boards. Like there are friends who I just love walking with because they're good walking partners. Like
Right.
that someone doesn't have to be like everything. And they're, friends for different like parts of your life. And
Hmm.
so I think when you have that perspective too, that like I'm not looking for someone, people that have to be like everything.
Right. I mean, we're blessed to have a few who cover a lot of categories, but I agree. Like there's the friends that you do this with or the friends that do that with. And so, yeah, that's amazing. I'd love, because again, I want to know, this is why I do this show. How do you go from having an idea of, I'd like to make a tequila brand, to actually getting to Mexico, getting a warehouse, making it happen? How do you how do you even get a recipe for it? Like, who taught you that? Or how'd you do this?
Yes, I totally appreciate that. And this is like, again, like the reality is I don't think you become an entrepreneur because you want like this like balance or to like be in control of your hours more. Like in all honesty, I was willing to roll up my sleeves and do a ton of due diligence. And I'm constantly still trying to learn. I love absorbing information. I mean, why do I love doing podcast interviews? Because I consume a ton of content. Like I
Yeah.
told you at the beginning of this, like, all right, I listen on like double speed. I like taking in a lot of information. So I just started researching. And that's actually for me, the most fun of the whole process is that the learning curve is so steep. So I started, it was COVID when I founded this. So impeccable
Yeah.
timing. I couldn't get to Mexico for production. I started reading books on tequila. I started subscribing to like every industry newsletter on spirits and tequila. I was researching the laws because it's like very heavily regulated in
Mm-hmm.
alcohol federally and at the state level. I took a course offered by the CRT, the governing body for tequila in Mexico, and I took an online course to become certified in the production and history of tequila. I read a book about all the women in tequila because I wanted a female master distiller. Then I reached out like blindly, like to people, hey, I got a connection. I heard you have a tequila brand here, and they found me consultants in Mexico. And I reached out to them, and can you introduce me to the master distiller I wanted? Like, can we do virtual tours of distilleries? I did research on the distilleries and narrowed down based on like who would let us bring our own master distiller in, who would let us create our own recipe and formulation. So I feel like and that doesn't really ever stop because there's always something that I need to like understand better, right? So now I understand the production, but there are a million other things, I knew nothing
Like
about marketing,
distribution, right? How do you,
distribution,
yeah.
marketing. Like now it's like, oh, what are the best ways? What are the ways to measure the best marketing tools? How do you
Hmm.
get pull through on the shelves? Like, so there's a lot to learn and there's constantly more to learn. But that's what I say is like, and I tell everybody who's looking at starting, it's that the first thing you need to do is just do a ton of research, learn as much as you can, be as well prepared as you can. Maybe you'll decide that it's not for you. Like you thought you wanted to always do that and you learn more about it and you're like, yeah, I'm not that interested. But I think that's the first step. And then the second thing was really the very lonely journey. And I had to build a community. Like I didn't have women to go to like ask questions. I mean, I always do that. I had a great friend group. I have a great carpool network. I had no business network. So I had to be
Hmm.
really intentional about finding people. And then I like grew that and like would reach out and someone would introduce me to someone. And I took every introduction. I follow up on every single one. Even now, someone sends me a DM and it's on LinkedIn or Instagram. Like I respond to everybody. And that's really how like I feel like I grew like a supportive network. So now if I'm curious, like, oh, I think your website looks great. Who did your website? Can I get information? I can ask like specific questions and get some guidance.
Your website looks great, by the way. Who did your website?
Thank you. I know
Yeah.
we just had it redone.
Yeah.
Cobalt design. They're
Well,
fantastic.
I'm
We
wearing
just
it's my favorite
redid
color.
it. All our stuff is blue. I always wear blue, always in a blue blazer usually. But
Yeah.
yeah, we literally just relaunched a brand new updated website, which is really
Okay.
exciting.
Well, it looks beautiful. You guys should go check
Thank
out
you.
her website, and we'll put it all in the show notes, of course. Um, and I have to ask you, what's your astrological sign?
A Leo.
A Leo. Okay, so that's why we're
I was
similar.
wondering, okay, what do you think? Am I a Leo?
Well, I don't know so much about astrology, but you're describing like your tenacity and like, you're not afraid to reach out to random people. That's what I do, and I'm a Gemini. And the researching, like that's how this podcast came about. That's how I found my web designer. I just researched and chatted. I reached out to you blindly on LinkedIn, like, hey, do you want to be on my podcast? And you, just like you said, like you reached back out. And you just made a post the other day, and I said I was excited to talk about it
Thank
on
you.
the show. And I can't remember the exact content. You had a picture of, I guess it's like agave.
It was the autoclaves, like the ovens, how you cook the agave, and it was the
Yes.
raw agave and the cooked. I know actually it's like weird. So by the way, I have no strategy on LinkedIn. I just
I
post
don't
whatever I'm
either.
thinking and put out there, and it like went viral. I
Yeah.
have no idea. I don't know how. I don't know
Um,
timing. I know nothing.
well, I think it was talking about the quality, right?
Yeah,
Like consumers need to understand what they're drinking. And so would you just like to expand a little more on what
sure.
inspired you to make that post, for example? And you also had a post the other day. I sound like I'm a stalker, but I think LinkedIn's also kind of become like Facebook, where I don't see everything on Facebook anymore, like except five people. And on LinkedIn it's a little better, but obviously we're connected, so I see your stuff. But you also had something about the investor journey, like angel investor journey. So if you want to talk about that as well, you
Oh,
can.
thank you.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that. And by the way, I'm like stealth mode stalker. So you will not scare me away. Like I want to when I want to see what people are doing or whatever, I'll look them up, I'll figure it out. And
Yeah.
by the way, I think it's actually really useful because I think it's the best way to reach out to someone. If you are doing a cold outreach, I'm going to give this as my tip and advice. Like, I never come in saying like, hey, can I pick your brain? I'm like, I would do exactly what you said. I love this post that he wrote about this. This resonated, that, or this particular marketing strategy, or I listened to you on this podcast and I found this
Mhm.
fascinating. I would love to talk to you about this, and giving something specific. I think it's much harder for someone to like actually just ignore that when it's really thoughtful. So I think having good, those good research skills again and figure are really helpful if you do want to connect with someone. So the post about the agave, there's so many different layers to this, but there are a number. I'm starting with like general information. So tequila is either 100% agave tequila or the tequila that probably made you sick years ago, which is just like called tequila. It's a mixto. So it's like 51% agave, 49% like just other sugars and junk. So right now there are lawsuits against some major brands saying that even though they say 100% agave on their label, they are not. They've tested them and they're saying they're like 33% agave or 50%, like they're not 100%. So some of them wouldn't even qualify to be a mixto tequila because you have to be
Mm.
51% blue Weber agave. Like tequila, it's like champagne. It has to be done at appellation of origin, has to be done within certain regions of Mexico, within 5 different states. Almost all tequila comes out of Jalisco, Mexico. There's this lawsuit. And what I was trying to explain in that post is like, when you see how much agave goes into making like not a huge amount, it was like 2 full huge ovens, 50 like kilos of agave, huge agaves in each one, how labor intensive, how long it takes. You can understand why some bigger corporations would want to like speed the process up and become more efficient by like cutting corners, because it
Mhm.
it is a very labor intensive, and it also requires a ton of like supplies and agave. Um, so that was the point. It also discussed briefly, but even when it's 100% agave, like I mentioned, me discovering additives, even if it says 100% agave tequila, I think consumers now are just becoming aware of the fact that they can add up to 1% of additives in it without disclosing it on the label, even though it says 100% agave tequila.
Wow.
So you can add sweeteners, and they can add like highly concentrated industrial strength sweeteners. So maybe it's less than 1%, but it definitely impacts the taste profile because they're like these concentrated sweeteners. Even the brands that are at 100% agave, to make it, let's say you want to make it more quickly or have a consistent taste profile each time, there are ways to do it again and speed up the process. Maybe not use mature agave. Like the ovens that I showed full were like all like mature big agave. Maybe use less mature agave, or you basically have to doctor the taste profile to get to make it taste like how you want it to taste by using things they add it, or for mouthfeel because they didn't let it develop as long. They add glycerin for mouthfeel because they
Mm.
don't have the natural mouthfeel, or they want it to look more aged. They had coloring to make it look like it's more aged than it is. So there's a very big kind of push right now just for people there to be transparency. So you know what you're drinking. So if there are
Mhm.
additives, like fine, but like why is that not disclosed? Like I personally don't eat aspartame in any of my food that I eat. So I don't want it in what I'm drinking either.
Right. Hmm. Wow.
But
Yeah,
consumers are
and
just
that's
becoming more aware of that.
okay. So, and that's why I liked your post because it's with the way like just food labeling in general needs to be more transparent. We're doing away with harmful dyes. We're trying agree or disagree on who's running the agency
Right.
right now. It's a good idea to just as a consumer be told the truth no matter who's in the
Right.
White House, right? Just tell us the truth. I want to know what I'm putting in my body. I want to know what I'm feeding my kids. I want to know what I'm drinking with my friends, right? So I
Right.
love that you brought that up in your post. And also, it's interesting because I was going to say, as a tequila owner now, are you encouraged or discouraged from calling out in a post like that, for example, the actual names of the brands who are involved in the lawsuit? Maybe legally you can't, but like I could name a brand, and I'm sure you know the one I'm talking about. It was a celebrity spirit
Yeah.
tequila, and it got sold. And when they started bringing the bottles back after it was sold, I can't drink that anymore. I think it tastes terrible. So something
Right.
changed. And this just happened with like cassava chips. There's a woman I follow on Instagram who has like serious health stuff. So she does like these 2 or 3 ingredient kinds of things. And she called out, I guess, the cassava chip she was eating was bought by some big company and they changed the label very quietly. So it's not like 100% of what it was. Just like what you're saying about tequila. Now it's like the dust of the cassava versus like the whole cassava. But if you don't take time to read it and it tastes the same, you think it's the same, and then you wonder why you feel like crap.
Right. And I think that's a good point. I mean, I could call out, but I don't because everyone, should eat and drink what they like. So if that's the brand they like, I feel like there are very big platforms. There are tequila influencers. There are people talking about it all the time who always call out these brands. And you're talking about one in particular, but like there's like a lot. I mean, we're talking about like 75% of tequila brands
Wow.
use additives, right? So I personally, that's not like, I feel like my place. And I actually think the reason that post resonated so much, because I was kind of shocked at like the comments and the responses and reposts, was because I didn't go at it like bringing like negativity and calling out players or even self promoting. My husband looked after us, he's like, you never mentioned Inspiro Tequila. You didn't even have the name of the company in the post.
Yeah.
And he didn't. And I didn't even think about it when I did it because I said I have really no strategy. But I think it was just because I was just providing like information. Like, here's my perspective, here's information. Like, you may not have an idea of like how much time and effort is an extremely labor intensive process. It's very different than coming up with like a vodka or neutral grain spirit. Like, every tequila has a different taste profile. Like, there's so much that goes into the process when you do it
Mm-hmm.
like the right way. And that's what I wanted to highlight. And I was more saying like you can kind of get it why big brands, if you have to like churn out tons and tons, maybe that's why this would just be like too much to do
Mm-hmm.
and not like cost efficient for them. But I think in some of them, a lot of people DM'd me afterwards and like, you should really call out our specific like distilleries that make it. I'm like, I don't need to do that, but I probably will do some more posts that are hinting at it a little
You
more
know,
about who these players could be.
right. Well, from a mom standpoint too, I mean, what do we try to tell our kids? If you don't have something nice to say, don't say anything at all. And just listening to you explain why you didn't call them out, that's why I asked you. Obviously it's who you are, but also just again, I feel like it's that female entrepreneurial side where we don't have to go low. Like Michelle Obama, when they go low, we go high. I mean, I would have, if my husband had told me, hey, you didn't mention the name of your brand, I might have edited it and said, oh, by the way, I'm the founder of
Right.
my tequila brand. And again, like you didn't have to self promote at all. So that's funny. But I love that you stay in a higher vibration and compete from there versus getting down in the dirt with the pigs because, I'm sure your grandpa or your dad rest their soul over there on my side. Because the pigs like to get dirty. Like you're not going to win a wrestling match with a pig because they like to get dirty. So just take that for what it's worth. I think that's a really great thing that you did. And obviously you were rewarded for it from the reposts and all that. So again, very well
And I
done.
appreciate that. And honestly, I kind of I save people like I'm exactly the same. And what I put out there is like in person too. Like I'm kind of at the point in my life where like I live exactly according to my values and morals, and I will not change like for anything. Like, and I'm in a there's lots of shades of gray in this like industry,
Hmm.
and like I just can't go there. Like I I have to like live with myself. What I put out there has to be resonate. Like, so I'm pretty consistent and just always making sure that like I could stand behind anything that I put out there in the world.
Right. Okay, so I wanted to ask you about the health of tequila. So, true or false, and maybe you don't know. A few years ago, one of my friends said something about how tequila is healthier than vodka, let's say, from an alkaline or a base standpoint, like how it converts in our body is better for us scientifically. Does that ring true for you, or does that sound familiar?
I don't know. And what I will say is this, because I'm a former attorney, I make no health claims about it.
Yeah,
So I know the one, right? We know it's plant based.
right.
Um, I think there are some people who have a better experience when they drink. Like the funny thing is I personally switched from drinking vodka sodas to tequila soda. And that is because I don't know why the rhyme or reason, but vodka had this very strange phenomena of waking me up in the middle of the night.
Yes.
And I don't know
Yes.
why. Okay, I'm so glad someone else has
Mhm.
heard of that too. But
Yes.
like
Yes.
literally, it would wake me up in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
And wine didn't sit well, although I enjoy wine and tastes good. It does not do well by me. And so no matter what, it could be one glass, two glass, I still feel like out of it and out of sorts the next day. I
Uh,
don't, again, maybe it's the sugar. So I don't know the scientific like data behind it, or because I think alcohol is alcohol. I'll say like, it's hard to make a claim that alcohol is good for you in any sense,
right.
but I noticed the difference of like how I personally felt. But I also always tell people, if you take anything, even like a great, like, right, or high quality, clean added free tequila, if you mix it in a sugary cocktail,
Yes.
you are going to
Oh,
lose the benefit of the
right.
like clean added
Yeah.
free, because it's the sugar part that kills you. Like you put in a big sugary margarita
Yeah.
and
Yeah. The
you're
sugar.
probably still
Yeah.
not going to feel great.
And I just know, like, just, from growing up a little bit, I can't mix alcohol anymore with any other alcohol unless it's got
Stay in your
bubbles in
lane.
it. So, like, my favorite thing to do is make something called a beer tequila, which you'll kill me because your tequila is not, it's too good to mix, right? Like, it's a straight shooter
But I
tequila.
need to hear this.
But I like to take a shot, like, I talk about Norton's all the time. We go to Norton's after we play pickle.
Inspiro.
I know. So I call it the Norton. I like to take a shot of really cold tequila and dump it in a Stella, and that's called a beer tequila because,
Okay.
I don't know. I don't do it all the time, but like that's what I like because I don't
Okay, well,
love the
next time
sugar.
if you do it with Inspiro, please take a video and send it to me
I will.
from Norton's,
I
and
will.
we will put it and tag them and tag you, because I love that, because we've
Perfect.
not heard anyone that does that. My daughter actually loves Jalisco Mule, so she does a ginger beer
Yeah.
version with tequila and
Yeah.
like lime juice because she loves the Jalisco
I'll take like
Mule.
a high noon or one of those seltzers, and put tequila in that too. Like everything is a good mixer if you think about it, except for like a really sugary margarita. Like my husband likes a spicy margarita, and so do I. But I'm the one like I'm like Sally Albright, right from Harry Met Sally. Like I'll have it this way, but like, could you make me a margarita but take out the sugar and like put this instead? And I like to have it my
Just
way.
do a ranch water, just lime juice and
Yeah.
sparkling water and soda water. It's like perfect. Or if you want it, I do our skinny version of margarita is just a little bit of agave syrup and fresh lime juice. I don't add any liqueur to it. So I don't
Mm,
do any of the liqueur mixers, because then it's like not as much sugar.
right.
Um, and I top it with a little sparkling water because I like a little fizz. Like
Me
I
too.
just happen to like my drinks with a little fizz. So I
Yeah.
always top it with a little sparkling water.
Yeah. All right. Do you like an orange or a lime in your tequila?
Okay, so I'm gonna again, I only drink if I'm making drinks, I only drink tequila with a splash of soda water, the soda water, and sometimes a flavored soda water or plain. I actually don't even, I'm too lazy to even cut a fruit. I don't add any fruit in.
Okay.
At home, I only drink tequila and soda. And often I will literally take like a little sparkling mineral water that has a twist top. I take a
Hmm.
sip, I pour a shot of tequila in, and I have a tequila soda in a little
Yeah.
to go
To
bottle.
go.
Yes.
I've done that too. We need to be friends. I'm so glad we're doing
I'm
this.
meeting you at Norton's. When are we going? When's pickle? You're going to tell
Yeah.
me your pickleball day. I'm
Well,
going to
we
come
just
meet the ladies there.
Okay, you know what? I'm going to let you know. I'll tell you. Usually we go on a certain day and I will tell you what it is.
Okay, you're going to
So
tell me, and I'm going to show up there, and
I'm,
I'm going to come have a
I
drink
got
with
your
them.
number. I'm going to invite you for sure. So half of my friends like an orange slice in their tequila, and I just like a couple limes. But the orange isn't bad. I just didn't know if like you had, you're out in the world, people
People
drink.
like orange in Reposado. Orange is very popular in a Reposado also.
Okay.
And my head of sales likes orange dusted with a little bit of cinnamon, and
Yes.
that's how she puts it in the repo.
Yeah. Or like tahini, like a little. Or,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Next question is, so do you speak Spanish?
No, I took French for 7 years. Not very useful.
So how are you dealing with a tequila brand and you're growing stuff in Mexico? Like, do you have an interpreter with you or you know enough now?
No, they speak enough English. My
Okay.
master distiller speaks enough English. The people who run and own the distillery speak perfect English. We had consultants down there in the beginning. It's kind of funny because, there are a lot of brands mostly owned by men,
Hmm.
and none of them have any like ties in particular to Mexico, including like most celebrities. Like
Mm,
all of them that started, like they don't have any heritage either or background or aren't necessarily Spanish speaking. They just started a tequila brand, like the
yeah.
vast majority.
There was a segment on 60 Minutes, I want to say maybe,
Mezcal.
yeah. And like they took care to talk about like these specific agave plants. So
Yeah.
how many varieties do you have in your brand right now?
We have two SKUs. We have three. Sorry, one is like very limited special release. Our core SKUs are a Blanco and a Reposado.
Okay.
Our Blanco, that's like a great mixer, easy to
Hmm.
drink. We put in bourbon barrels for a short time, so that's how we got a little bit of sweeter notes without using additives. So it's pretty unique. Most Blancos don't ever go into wood. And then a Reposado is a Rosa Reposado. So it's actually aged in rosé wine barrels. Remember, I said I like wine, but doesn't like me as much. Well, I was like, oh, I like rosé wine and tequila. How
Yeah.
can we age it? And then I had this great idea and didn't realize just how difficult it is to actually find rosé wine barrels. Rosé is a young wine. It very rarely ever gets aged. So I scoured like the planet, but we get rosé wine barrels from the south of France and we age the Reposado in it. So it's like a rose
Yeah.
gold color. It's
It's
all
beautiful.
natural color.
Yeah.
And then we have an añejo that was like a really limited release that we have available like in certain markets and
Mhm.
online on our website. Um, but it's a really unique, we only had like 4 barrels worth of it. But
Okay.
mezcal is a little bit different in that you can use a lot of different types of agave plant. Tequila can only be made. So like tequila is a form of mezcal. Mezcal is not all tequila though, because tequila can
Mm,
only be made of blue Weber agave. There's only
okay.
one type of agave plant that you can make tequila out of, and it has to be blue Weber agave.
Okay. Thank you for educating me and my listeners. All right, I'm going to spring some things on you then. What would you say is a superpower of yours?
Focus.
Focus.
I can be focused on something for like a really, really long period of time and just like get, you know, drill
Okay.
through it. I can
All
sit and
right.
focus for a long time.
I love that. And so, because like I said, this is the real and the woo, do you have any spiritual practices you'd like to share at all?
I'm much more on the real side than the woo side. I'd say I have very little things that I add to my life that I do like religiously. And that is one, I make a matcha every single morning. So even that little practice, taking time to do it. And I make like a real matcha, like ceremonial grade matcha with hot water and my little whisk and everything, like matcha that I get like from Japan.
Hmm.
That's one little thing that I do. And that's like part of my routine, morning routine, besides that I work out. But usually that's when I like binge watch like, my ridiculous Bravo shows.
Yeah.
But then I make my matcha and I basically have a routine and it's been with all my kids while they're home, but Jewish. And I every single night religiously, no matter if I'm traveling anywhere, my youngest calls me anywhere I am and I say the Shema with him every
Hmm.
single night
Yeah.
before
Yes.
bed.
My sister does that with her kids wherever they are. They'll call right before Shabbat and do blessings. And I say that in the morning and at night before I go to bed. So just on my own, it's a ritual that I have too as part of my husband will tell you like I have too many rituals, but like I sleep in bed with a lot of crystals and now I have a grounding sheet. And he's like, you have too much going on over there. I'm like, it's a party. I'm a Gemini. I just like to have my things with me. Okay, so I'm just going to introduce this segment now called Joy on the Fives. So, Mara Smith, in this moment, what is bringing you joy?
I feel like my kids always bring me joy. I feel like seeing them doing well, that I live by like my mother-in-law's motto, like you're only as happy as your unhappiest child. So if everyone's in a good place, I'm doing well.
Wow, I'm going to get to that in just a second. So, I have this segment because I imagine a world that incorporates joy every day. And, we're old enough to remember the news, weather, and traffic that comes, and it still does at 5 minutes to the hour. And just
Yeah.
imagine if Al Roker on the Today Show would say, news, weather, traffic, and joy, and would just have a segment where somebody's talking about what's bringing them joy. So it's a muscle, I feel like, especially for women, we forget we have every right to possess. Like we're allowed to feel joy. We come in with joy. Like it's the highest vibration, like love. And people forget it takes practice, just like anything else, to remind ourselves that we're made to live in joy without apologizing for it. And it sounds really foreign to some people. So thank you for sharing that.
That's a good
And
reminder.
it is a good reminder. Thank you. And your answer, I'm just gonna just say a little, I'm gonna mom on you for just a second, just because this is my business kicking in. That statement is universal.
Okay.
However, and this is why I'm gonna caution you, and I'm so glad you said this, especially because like you mentioned the sandwich generation, right? So we are, of course, as empathetic beings and souls, upset when the people around us are upset. But if you're only as happy as your most unhappy child, you are giving your children way too much power for your own happiness. And I'm not saying you're doing anything wrong. I just want you to think about it. Your children, our children, you know this as a mom. When do they wig out the most? They wig out the most when they have no structure. They have too much power, like that pocket of space between the ending of camp and the beginning of school, or right when school is going
Right.
to end and camp starts. So that all that unstructured time, which is a gift, they just lose their minds. And we need to remember they really do well with boundaries, right? But if your unhappiest child is bringing you down with them, it's like the lifeguard who jumps in without his own life vest. How is that helpful, right? So stay in your joy and your power. Be upset when your kid's upset, but don't let that color your entire existence. And I'm not saying you do that, but there are a lot of people that do. And
Yes, I could see that. I
yeah,
think as women, we take on that, and it could be anyone in my house. Like, right, like I take on, if someone feels the stress, like I take it on. They don't take on
yes,
my stress and feel, but like it weighs on me. Like
yeah,
my husband, my kids, if my mom's worried about it, like everyone, like like it weighs on you. So I think that's a really good lesson. And then I'm going to say the change one thing that brings me joy. I love to walk. So anytime I can get walking in,
I was going to
that
ask
is
you that.
truly my happy place.
Yes.
Um, so I started scheduling actually like on the weekends because during the week I'm too busy and running around and I don't get to catch up with friends. I feel like especially running a business, I like have not been great at following up. So I schedule like 2 to 3 walks per day on Saturday and Sunday with different people. So I'm like, I feel great. I
That's
get my steps
amazing.
in, and then I'm also getting to like see friends.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's wonderful because then you also you have your therapy session, you have your steps in, like you said, and it's a really good way to also just get into your own mindfulness practices when you walk alone, like the matcha. I love the visual of that ritual. My daughter loves matcha. Do you know Marlena from the spice shop up here?
No,
Love that
but does she
spice.
have good matcha?
Oh my God. So she was on my podcast. I call her Magic Marlena. She owns a spice shop called Love That Spice. And she only does her own stuff. She makes her own salts. I have a tea that she made for me for the Real and the Woo listeners. So if you go in there and order the tea, um, I'm blanking right now what it's called, but you can go get a discount on my tea there
Okay, I'm putting it down right now.
if you mention it. And she, I believe, has matcha. It's probably ceremonial. She's got like ceremonial cacao. She's the real deal. Like she grinds her own spices. She only
Oh, I love.
buys, legit organic stuff. She's fascinating.
Okay,
And when you meet her, you
I
won't
was
want to
just
leave.
over there. I
Yeah,
need to
it's
come over
right near
there. Okay.
Norton's.
Yes, I
It's,
know exactly
everything's
what it
near
is.
Norton's. So yeah, go check it out because she's amazing. Totally. Yes. And then, okay, I
I
think,
drink tea every night too. I really like a cup of tea at night. It's like
see, that's so
so very
nice.
good.
There's one of their yoga studios. I work for Reach Yoga. I'm doing a workshop this on the 13th, actually. They bring in a woman who owns, I think she's from Sol and Luna. I can't remember, but she does a whole tea meditation. So it's like just the ritualistic nature of making the tea, looking at the tea, holding it in your hand, just like I described your bottle, right? It just brings you into presence. So, but it sounds like you do that when you make your matcha. So that's great. Like now I'm frothing it. Now I'm sipping it. It's like that first sip from Ally McBeal. Do you remember that episode before? It was like Courtney Thorne-Smith and Ally McBeal. I forgot who Courtney Thorne-Smith played, but she had gone to Starbucks to get her coffee and she was about to drink it. And Ally McBeal's like, no. And like she brought it up to her lips and like had her smell it and taste the foam. It was like very sexual in nature, like if you look at the scene, but it's a pretty iconic scene. So,
That's so
yeah,
funny. Yeah. I feel like that's the one thing I don't rush through. So I feel like I give myself like the
exactly.
5 minutes. Yes.
Exactly. Well, all it takes is 5 minutes, right? So
Yes.
I like to ask people this question a lot because they might not think that they're doing anything spiritual, but in fact they are. So it's not that you have to meditate on a mountaintop or take 45 yoga
Yeah.
classes. It's anything that just brings you into the present moment. And sometimes in our day, all we have is 3 minutes, right? So that's wonderful that you cultivate that and build that into your schedule because especially as busy as you are, you need that time for sure.
And I need the caffeine.
And you need the caffeine. Yeah. Is there anything else you'd like to explain about your business or more about your story? I'm not sure we touched on everything, or I don't know.
I just think I think you made a really good point about moms out of like the traditional workforce and going back in. I hope like, kind of my biggest mission is that I inspire other women that it's not too late to either make a pivot or re-enter. I think it's like often very daunting. Like, what do I do next? And I mean, you don't have to start a tequila company.
Yeah.
That's like crazy talk, but but just that, if you're willing to kind of like put in work and research and effort and see what it is, like there are so many things you can do. Um and looking at those possibilities and just having your eyes open to them. Because I think we often don't. I mean, I never thought I was going to be an entrepreneur. I was like, heads down. Like I studied accounting, got my CPA, went to law school, went to a big law firm, like went to big corporation. It was not looking, I wanted like stability and like what's a stable, well-paying job, pay off my loans, things like that. I was not looking at like what kind of startup would I do later. But I think having your eyes open to like all the different types of possibilities and things you can
Mhm.
do. Hopefully we'll make women see that there's like still, a lot out there that
Yeah.
they can do and contribute.
Well, we are multifaceted beings after all. And before I let you go, I would be remiss if I didn't ask you to tell the story of how you got the name of your tequila, because I know there's part of it on your website, but I think it's a sweet story. So I'd love you to share.
Thank you. Everything was really intentional about the brand, from the bottles that we talked about to the liquid inside. And when I was thinking about names, I wanted something that did have some ties to, Mexico. So Inspiro is the Spanish word for inspired. And the company is named in honor of my inspirations, my grandmother and my mother. I guess they gave me some like ridiculous confidence to believe I could do anything. My grandmother was the matriarch of our family, a Holocaust survivor who came here with very little education and built like an amazing family and was my main caregiver. I mean, with my mom worked full time, always growing up. So my
Mhm.
grandmother really took care of me and had a major impact on my life. And my mom, who was a force to be reckoned with, and also born in a DP camp in Germany after the war, and came here and is an amazing advocate for many causes. And I think I just saw these like powerhouse women who made me believe, like I studied all mathematical subjects. And at the time when I did that, I didn't realize till later, I'm like, oh yeah, actually, I don't think there were really many girls in my like math classes and stuff like that. And I didn't even notice at the time. And then I started in, engineering in college and then moved over to like accounting, but kind of never occurred to me that like women don't go into those professions. So
Mhm.
I think having those women who gave me that, you know, confidence to believe that I could like do anything and compete at any level, yeah, it had a significant impact. It made me think that I could, be this mom who returns to the workforce and starts a tequila company.
Yeah, that's great. We connect on that. I was a secondary math education major when I left school, and I started in accounting, but math was my thing, and there weren't a whole ton of girls in there at all. And my mom had to go to work. My parents got divorced when I was 6, so I was basically raised, grandma, sisters, friends like that. So I think I know the tenacity that I possess definitely came from my mom and my grandma, 100%. So thank you for sharing that story. And please
We're
tell
kindred
everybody,
spirits. We're going to
I know
be
we're going to be drinking
soon.
all day and walking all day. Tell everybody how to find your brand and website and all that stuff.
Yeah, so Inspiro Tequila. So you can find us locally. We're in like 10 states, depending on where you're listening from. And if you're here in Illinois, we're in Binny's, Whole Foods, Jewel. So find us locally. Check out our new great website, inspirotequila.com. You can find us on all the social media platforms at Inspiro Tequila, and then connect with me because my jam is LinkedIn, and I love connecting with people, and I
Hmm.
share most of the story there and my story. So Mara Smith on LinkedIn.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining me. And this is so much fun. And from everybody over here, my dog just left. Oh no, she's back. From me to you. Thank you for taking the time to be on the show today with me. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Okay. All right. Thank you.